Yo, what is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today, we have got 10 things that you guys need to know for this Year X, Season 10, Season X, Year 10, whatever you want to call it, whatever HiRez is calling it. Things that you need to know for this map, things that have changed a lot from Season 9 that you may have gotten used to, or things that are just brand new that you just never knew to begin with. Number 1. Jungle camps are spawning way slower. Back camps used to spawn every 2 minutes. They're now spawning every 4 minutes. So junglers have a lot less to do on the map. Therefore, that is going to mean junglers, you have to gank more. You're not going to be able to power farm and just sit in the jungle and beat down on camps. You're going to have to look to gank more. On the opposite side, laners, be prepared for junglers ganking you all the time. Junglers have a really, really good start right now that allows them to gank either solo or mid literally as the waves are meeting. Literally, you can start, put one auto onto the minion, and then the jungler, the enemy jungler, can come out of lane and literally just kill you. Happens all the time. It's been happening to Ducky a lot, so be prepared for that. Mid's the same thing. As the minions are meeting, you can get ganked. Duo is slightly later. Usually you can clear the first wave, and the second wave meeting is when the jungler will be ganking you. So that's when you have to look out for it. I've been personally warding on the purple walk-in area, so if the jungler does the enemy or does their speed when they walk down, you can actually see them cross it. Number 2, Pyro, Gold, and FG are respawning every 4 minutes instead of 5 minutes. FG buff specifically lasts for 4 minutes. Meaning, if you have the Fire Giant, you will know exactly when it is spawning on your buff bar. Also, if you take a fight before FG has spawned in the FG area, you will have FG for that fight. So, if you don't have FG, the enemy has FG, you might want to play a little bit farther back until that FG has actually respawned. You can't really posture up because you're playing against a team that has FG. The enemy team is going to be looking to play up because they have an FG and they want to fight you while they still have that FG. So play a little bit farther back if you don't have the FG. If you do have the FG, play a little bit farther forward because you want to get a fight going. Number 3, the anti-heal item options have changed. They are more expensive, but they do more. Starting with Divine. Divine now does a chain lightning damage that has a 20-second cooldown, and it does flat 40 damage, and I think it's 20% power. Brawlers, same 40% anti-heal. Divine also has that 40% anti-heal still. Brawlers, though, when you get a kill, there'll be a small area. If you get a kill or assist, you will get power. Contagion, every time you get CC'd, you have a mystical mail tick around the person that CC'd you that ticks 5 times, and I think it's 40 damage flat also, meaning a lot of damage. Contagion is really powerful right now until it gets nerfed. If you're a tank, build it. And Contagion and Pestilence both still have 20%, 25% anti-heal in the aura. They still do not stack. Divine and Brawlers do stack. Pesty, on the other hand, every time you take damage, you're going to be reducing that person's healing by 5% up to 6 times. So if they hit you 6 times, there'll be 30% anti-healed on top of the 25% from the aura, meaning 55% anti-heal. Somebody made a really good point in one of my comments saying Pestilence feels really good into auto attack mages because they build a lot of healing and they also auto attack you a lot. So Olorun souls are gonna have a lot of healing in their kit and they're gonna be hitting you a lot. Pesty also has 80 protections, so it feels really strong into him. Pesty's still a bit expensive, 2,400 gold. It's not great other in that scenario, but Contagion on the other hand is still very, very strong. 4, kind of a big sweeping change. No longer do any items except starter items, so get starter items out of your head. No longer do any of them have prots and power. They will have power and health, or they will have prots and health. But no longer will any god in the entire game have access to a prot and power item that isn't a starter. Keep that in mind. It is really big for solo laners and it's really big for junglers, and sometimes can be supports, but not really. You didn't really build hybrid items first in support. Number 5, I played about 40 ranked games, 50 ranked games already this split. I've been slamming the Qs. I'm addicted. Titan is uber squishy. It is very, very squishy. I don't know exactly what it is, but either bluestone or just like slight nerfs or a bug to Titan. You can kill Titan a lot easier than you can kill Phoenixes or FGs or Gold Furies or even Pyros a lot of the time. Just say F it sometimes and just try to see if you can end that Titan. Get used to seeing how squishy it is when you can look to end. It'll help you in the long games. Maybe you'll throw 1 or 2 at the beginning when you're trying to figure out if you can actually kill it. But towards the end, when you start learning how much damage you can actually do it to it, how fast it actually dies, it'll make you a much better player, much better shot caller. So say F it, go for a few ends. Even if you throw a couple games, you'll get used to it and you'll actually it'll be really nice. Number 6, fire is also easier to do alone. It does slightly less damage just because of its new, I think it's like the order of its abilities or something like that. It does slightly less damage, but it is a good chunk tankier. So it's easier to do alone in the fact that you can actually do it, but it just takes a longer amount of time. So fire is something I've soloed a bunch of times. I've seen an AMC solo it and it wasn't even level 20. I've seen a bunch of people soloing fire giants. So fire is easier to do. Get wards on it if the enemy has a hyper carry hunter, or a hyper carry jungler, I mean, or a hyper carry hunter, I guess. Arachne, Mercury, stuff like that, where they can just go to it. So ward those up. Number 7, a very important one that I think people are overlooking right now. Do not overrate the vision shard. I think it is probably the best shard in the game because it just always has use. The other shards can have games or times when they're just not useful at all. Vision shard is always going to be important, especially with how big this map is now, how easy it is for junglers to gank, and how often they can gank. Vision shard is going to be completely optimal to play in the early game. So try out the vision shard. Obviously, if you're just having fun, whatever, build whatever shard you want. But if you want to play at the best possible level, get used to using the vision shard. I think it is going to be the best in every single role except maybe jungle, because I think they can make really good use out of the other shards and they don't really need the vision one as much because they're not going to be kind of sitting in the same spot all the time. But the other roles, solos especially, I think they're going to need to go vision shard because of these early ganks. Mid, because of the early ganks. ADC can maybe get away without using it because support can build the vision shard for them, but I've been liking it in nearly every role. Number 8. This one blows my mind. It pisses me off. It rustles my jimmies. The speed buff is nearly twice as strong as it was last year. Last year was about 8% movement speed. This year it is 14%. Junglers are literally whipping around the map like NASCAR. Every jungler has Mercury passive, Mercury 2 passive built into their kit. You are not chasing junglers down. Junglers are going to be chasing you down. A lot of the times you're going to have to turn and fight because they're going to just be able to catch up to you. It also means dual lane is a lot more unsafe pre-5 because if they do get on top of you, you have a lot farther distance to cover to get back to your tower where it's safe. So be very careful. Junglers running games out here. Be careful. Number 9, all classes have innate buffs into their actual class that scale into the late game. Currently, warriors get 5% cooldown, building up to, I think it's 10 or 15% cooldown into the late game. So if you're playing a warrior, do not overcap 30 or do not go past 30% of cooldown unless you just have like a build that you like that's just the perfect build and it gets you to 40% before your passive. Junglers are getting built in flat pen. I think it's 5 flat pen scaling up to 15. Warriors are getting the cooldown. Assassins are getting flat pen. Mages are getting power that scales into the late game. Guardians are getting CCR, and hunters are getting basic attack damage starting at 100% and then scaling up to 110% late game. Not entirely huge, but if you're playing a class in a different role, reminder, just like you're bringing that class's passive, whatever you want to call it, to your role. If you're playing a warrior jungler, you're going to have an extra 5, 10, 15%, depending on the time of the game, cooldown in your kit. And lastly, number 10, 43 items. 43 tier 3 items have stat changes or passive changes from season 9 to season 10. I can't lay them all out here. I have a patch notes from a few days ago, so if you are curious on which one's which one's how much, you can go watch that. But 43 items changed. Check out the new items. Check out all the old items. See the new stats. If you have a build from season 9 that you really liked running, check it, bring it over to season 10, look at the items, make sure nothing has changed. A lot of items have also been removed. Stone cutting is gone, bulwark is gone. So your item from your build in season 9 might be gone, but there's going to be a really good item to replace it. So check your new items, check your old items, see what the stats are, see if it still works. But yeah, other than that, just wanted to give you guys those tips. These are 10 tips that you guys need to know for season 10, X10, season X, year 10, whatever you want to call it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys have one for us today. See you guys again next time. Peace.